I strongly believe that if you're someone who's wanting to make a lot of money on Turo, like life-changing money, you have to get started with cheap cars. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. When I started Turo back in 2017, I began my Turo business with cheap cars out of necessity because I didn't have good credit to get a loan and I didn't have a lot of cash to buy more expensive cars outright. And over the years, as my income has grown, I surely could afford nicer cars if I wanted to, but I don't, and there is really specific reasons as to why. It's not because I'm cheap, it's not because I don't care about my customers, it's none of that. And today in 2024, for the most part, I still buy the exact same cars that I purchased back in 2017, despite the fact that my income has increased dramatically. And for the most part, with the exception of a couple of cars here and there, I still buy the exact same cars today in 2024 that I purchased 8 years ago. Of course, some of them have changed a bit here and there based off of Turo requirements, but they are very, very similar cars. And truthfully, no matter how many times we experiment or think about diving deeper into luxury segments or niche vehicles, the economy segment keeps dragging us deeper and deeper into mid-tier economy business models because it's a business model that truly works. But before we dive into that, my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, our New Year sale was extended by a few days, and the sale now ends on January 31st. And you can use the code NEWYEAR2024 to get $150 off your purchase. The link is down in the description below. In the Car Sharing Masterclass, you'll learn everything from A to Z that you need to know about starting and scaling a car sharing business with the exact same business model that I use. We'll teach you how to buy the right cars, how to determine which cars are the right ones to buy, and how to buy them at a below market value price. We'll teach you the ins and outs of operations, from maintenance and repairs, setting up automations to pacify your fleet, how to deal with insurance claims, LLC information, your finances, and of course, what happens if your car is in an accident or gets totaled. We'll teach you how to navigate that. The best part is that whenever you sign up for the Car Sharing Masterclass, you'll not only gain access to 7 hours of course content, but you'll also be invited to our private Discord and our private monthly Zoom calls. In fact, I am so confident with the quality of education that you will receive with the Car Sharing Masterclass that we offer a 30-day robust, no questions asked money back guarantee so that you can sign up at no risk to you. So if you're interested in the Car Sharing Masterclass, you can use the code NEWYEAR2024 to get $150 off your purchase. You can check out the course down in the description below. Now, before we dive into why I buy cheap cars specifically, I first want to specify and really emphasize what I mean whenever I say low-end to mid-tier economy cars, and what exactly the definition of the types of cars that I buy are, because this is oftentimes something that newer Turo hosts specifically get wrong. When I say that I buy cheap cars, I do not mean that I buy the cheapest cars that I can possibly find, buy and then list those on Turo. In fact, my husband HP and I are very, very picky about the cars that we purchase, and we prioritize a few things. First is repairs. Any car we add to our fleet has to have a good reputation when it comes to repairs and maintenance, and they need to be relatively simple to repair. For the most part nowadays, we buy a lot of the same cars, and so as a result, we don't put a ton of individual thought into the individual cars that we purchase, but whenever we buy a new car that we've never purchased before, we do a ton of due diligence, figuring out what does the maintenance and repairs look like, and is this car going to be an issue in the future? And if the answer is yes to that question, then we simply won't buy it. So we'll look at things like, what is the recall situation? What are consumer reports saying? What do owners who are in forums or Facebook groups say? Is there a consistent issue that we need to be aware of, like trans issues, oil consumption? And if so, is there a known fix? These are things that we look for. We want cars that aren't going to be an issue. They're going to be simple and easy to fix and maintain. We also pay a ton of attention to price. How much is this car worth versus how much are we paying for it? It is very important to buy cars for less than what they're worth. This is where your earnings potential with Turo really skyrockets. Remember, HP and I don't just make money from the daily rate. We make money from fees, claims, and total losses. And truthfully, it is very difficult to find cheap cars that check all of our boxes. We don't buy GM products, really anything European, with the exception of the occasional Mercedes or Volvo, which we have added to our fleet currently, and we don't buy Dodge. We pretty much stick to Japanese or American automakers, and as a result, this really limits the pool of cars that fit into our fleet and thus limits the amount of cars we buy. And that's okay. So there's the caveat. We don't buy boxes, but we do buy quality cars that are cheap and a bit older. But as far as why we do this, there are a few different reasons, and the first and largest really comes down to ROI, or return on investment. The ROI on an economy car is better, like way better. For example, this Lincoln Corsair in the Dallas market, which just coincidentally cost $27,000, and my Ford Escape, which cost $4,500. This is a 2021 model, so we can assume that they probably bought it for around $27 grand, and my Escape cost me $4,500. The Lincoln cost 600% more than the Escape, but that same Lincoln is only earning about 20% more. This is just one example, but there is no doubt hundreds if not thousands of others on the Turo website of an economical car that is priced at one price, and then the newer alternative to that vehicle is priced about 10 to 20% more, but that newer vehicle costs 5 to 10 times as much. A 10 or 20% increase in daily rate does not warrant spending 5 to 10 times more on the actual purchase price of the vehicle. And I know the counter argument to this is oftentimes, well, a newer car has warranty, a newer car has less maintenance, it has less repairs. And while this sometimes can be true, it sometimes isn't. And newer cars have the entire cost of depreciation, which isn't even a factor with these older ones. I did a video talking about this and really dove deep into it. I will include a link to that down in the description below, but the point here is that whenever we look at the cost of older cars to the cost of newer cars, the increase in purchase price just simply doesn't justify how much more you earn on a daily rate, because you're really not earning that much more, but you're paying significantly more for the car. With a low-end economy vehicle, you can very literally make all of your money back within a few months, but if you buy a newer car that costs between 20 and 40 grand, that's going to take you years to make back. And at the same time, you're losing a bunch on depreciation. And that kind of brings me to my next topic of why I buy older vehicles, and it is depreciation. I'm not joking whenever I tell you that I get a message nearly every single day from people who tell me a story similar to this one. Hey Aubrey, I had a question. I was renting a 2022, 2023, or 2021 model car in Turo that has since been totaled, and the amount Turo paid me doesn't cover the note. I now owe thousands of dollars out of pocket. What the heck do I do? This is a real reality of new Turo hosts, especially for Turo hosts that joined Turo back in 2021 or 2022 at the height of the car market. They overpaid for their cars, and now their cars aren't worth as much. Whenever these cars get totaled, they are in a real hole. And I know that there are a ton of hosts that rent out newer cars on Turo, but oftentimes these hosts have more context to their situation. Either A, the hosts are extremely experienced and they know how to navigate the car market, depreciation, and buying new cars. There are hosts out there that really know what they're doing and they can get away with this, but newer hosts don't fit into that category. Another scenario could be that these hosts are co-hosts, so they don't really even own the car and thus they don't care about the depreciation. Or a third and very common scenario is these hosts don't even realize that they've lost a ton of money on depreciation, and as a result, they aren't even really aware of it. I am so incredibly against buying new cars for Turo or even newer cars for Turo that haven't depreciated yet, but I am even more against it for new hosts that are just starting out. When you buy cars that are heavily depreciated like I do, you put yourself in a position to not only be made whole in the case of an accident, but you also put yourself in a spot to make a profit if a total loss takes place. This is why cheap, heavily depreciated, below market value cars are so incredibly important. And really the last major factor as to why I've stuck with this business model for so long is because this model is recession proof. So many of my customers fit into two categories: people who can't afford a car, or number two, people whose car is currently in the shop getting repaired or is in an accident and they just need something to drive for the meantime. And I strongly believe that these two groups of people make my business model recession proof. On top of that, at any given time, there are anywhere between 4 and 7 vehicles of mine that are with renters that are keeping the car for more than a week at a time because their car is currently in the shop. Or we've also had a handful of scenarios where somebody has ordered a car from a dealership and they're just waiting for it to be delivered. Pretty much all of the remaining renters that we get are locals, and with the occasional traveler as well. But very seldom do people who travel for work rent our cars. Because of the fact that I rely on local renters, my business model isn't affected by layoffs or companies limiting work travel. It's not affected by people limiting vacations or a recession or people cutting spending. For many people, my cars are a need, not a want, and as a result, I get a constant stream of renters regardless of the economic climate. And we really put this through the test during COVID whenever I remained busy, even in the highest point of the lockdowns. There was only 1 week during the entire pandemic where my cars weren't being rented, and that was at the very start whenever really nobody knew what was going on. You can own your cars for free and make money from them while you own them. You can buy cars that are fairly easy to maintain despite the fact that they are old. You can avoid the ebbs and flows of tourism, recession, or market downturns by targeting local renters and by being some of the cheapest cars in the area because you're always getting a stream of renters. Because of this reason, I'm such a big believer in buying cheap, low-end to mid-tier economy vehicles that you purchase for a below market value price. And because this business model has proven to work over the last 8 years, I really don't see myself changing anytime soon, if ever. Remember that my course, the Car Sharing Masterclass, is on sale for just a few more days until January 31st. You can use the code NEWYEAR2024 to get $150 off your purchase. You can check out the link down in the description below. And like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.